Experience the calming, peaceful glow of a lighthouse with hours of bedtime stories for grown-ups that will help you fall asleep. You are listening to the Lighthouse Bedtime Collection. Tonight we'll ease into a gentle journey to 6 lighthouses, from the rocky coast of the Atlantic to the serene shores of the Great Lakes. Many of these stories are inspired by dreamers who resurrected old lighthouses, forming new places of refuge that carry a timeless feel. Each one offers a cozy getaway, connecting you with the enduring power of light and hope. We'll begin our journey with stories set to the gentle sound of lapping waves as we find refuge at the Lighthouse Inn, the beauty of autumn at the Maple Island Lighthouse, and profound peace at the Healing Lighthouse. As our journey continues, the weather will shift and will welcome the comforting rhythm of falling rain. We'll find a warm, dry spot at the lighthouse on Lake Michigan, hunker down at the lighthouse in the rain, and brave the elements in the coziest way possible at the Lilac Lighthouse on a stormy night. These final tales will guide you to a deeper rest, showing that even in a storm, there is peace to be found. This collection is a reminder that you too are a beacon of hopeful light. As you listen, imagine yourself being drawn to a safe passage, a place where you can find peace and rest as you nurture that light and remember to shine it brightly. Welcome to Michelle's Sanctuary. I'm Michelle, and for those of you listening for the first time, and those of you returning to listen to one of my stories once more, I thank you. I hope that as you listen, you may think of me as a dear, longtime friend and loving voice who wishes the best night of sleep ahead. Let my voice be the steady beam that guides you towards soothing escapes, helping you embrace the magical powers of your imagination. You get to decide how you wish to spend your final waking moments before waves of comfort usher you to sleep. This collection is for you to modify however you like, letting go of my voice and welcoming sleep whenever it feels right. Jim Carrey once said, "I feel that we're all lighthouses, and my job is to shine my light as brightly as I can to the darkness. An unspeakable serenity washes over me whenever a lighthouse comes into view. Whether its powerful beacon cuts through the blue-black darkness of the glittering Atlantic, or its looming striped presence stands tall in the rich light of a summer afternoon. It represents a timeless sense of safety. I've never been lost at sea or needed a lighthouse to guide me home. And yet I can imagine what it might feel like, because we all, at some point, have felt a little lost, yearning for a glimmer of light to find our way. The lighthouse stories in this collection are here to be that light. Let them guide you to a place of inner peace, to serene dreams, into your own personal haven for healing. Let's begin with a brief relaxation to set the tone. Imagine your room transforming into a serene cove. The world outside fades away, replaced by soft moonlight, reflecting on the gentle waves of an endless body of deep blue water. You are being drawn toward a distant light, a beacon of hope and safety. With each breath, you feel yourself getting closer. Feel everything slowing down, starting with your breath. As you surrender to the peaceful rhythm of the gently lapping waves within your sanctuary, you have made it through another day and have the right to do whatever feels good for you right now. Sense as your body becomes heavier, as you let out a sigh, and with this sigh, cast away every worry or concern that may be stored in your mind, letting them drift away like lacy opal sea foam gliding on the outgoing tide. When you're ready, inhale slowly through your nose and imagine the warm air carries the faint aroma of the ocean or a mineral-rich lake. Expand your body, approaching this breath with kindness. You may yawn at the top if you like, and then let everything out in a sigh, like the gentle whispers of water lapping against a shore. Every intake and out-breath brings more peace. Continue to breathe deeply as I count you down, each count a step closer to the beacon of light and rest. 5. Sense the gentle energy around you of the water and the night sky as your body starts to unwind. 4. A feeling of quiet peace rises within you with each breath as you appreciate the serenity and solitude of a lighthouse where you may truly connect with yourself. 3. Calmness unfolds through you, and slow, gentle waves of warmth and tranquility. 2. Your entire being aligns with the peaceful rhythm of this retreat, and you notice every comforting sensation. 1. As you breathe deeply, perhaps yawn and exhale in a relaxed sigh. Honor the you seeking rest and dreams, welcoming the quiet serenity of a night spent in a lighthouse. Your breath falls into an easy rhythm. It's time for the stories to begin. The Lighthouse Inn. Immerse yourself in cozy vibes as you travel to a historic lighthouse for a getaway. Swing in a hammock overlooking the lapping waves at sunset. You then climb the lighthouse tower to look out on a starry sky and supermoon that casts the ocean in opal light. Rolf Wandervind wrote, "An awake heart is like a lighthouse, helping others to find a safe way home." How often in this life have you longed to feel safe in an uncertain world? Or have you been a light keeper, inspired to offer safety to others? Perhaps in an ideal life, you get to experience both. Long ago, lighthouse keepers sacrificed all tenets of normalcy for the sake of spreading light into a dark, uncertain world. Weather was far more difficult to predict centuries ago. Weary travelers became awash with hope and a sense of safety as these beacons of light pierced through the darkness with the promise of a nearby coast where they may find rest. In 1989, all lighthouses in the United States became automated, save for the Boston Light, which was required by law to be manned at all times. And as traditions of lighthouse keepers were no longer required, auctions took place, and lighthouses were sold to souls drawn to the allure and history of these charming dwellings. A woman by the name of Maribel heard stories as a child about her ancestors who maintained a lighthouse off the coast of New England. She dreamt of one day residing in a lighthouse. It was so clear in her dreams as a child that she was not surprised one bit when a listing appeared on her computer screen a decade ago for a retired lighthouse on a rocky peninsula off the shores of Maine. The ivory tower of the lighthouse was surrounded by a historic stone cottage that offered 5-bedroom suites that would make the perfect setting for a bed and breakfast. The structure was built in 1835 with a 45-foot tower that had a 22-foot diameter. The lighthouse tower came first, and a newly married couple tended to it day and night. And in between building a family and keeping the light shining for hundreds of seafarers, they built a surrounding cottage that welcomed souls from all walks of life. It became a place of refuge and hope, particularly for those in transition. Maribel read historical documents about the lighthouse and took on a mission to create a charming bed and breakfast that resurrected the lighthouse as the beloved haven it was always meant to be. You arrive at the peninsula after a long journey by train that began before sunrise. As you walk on a footbridge that at low tide offers a shortcut to the lighthouse, your muscles still feel as if they are vibrating from the gentle rocking of the train trip. The sun bathes you in golden light. It would feel hot but for the cool mist from the ocean that offers a gracious reprieve. You taste the tiny droplets of the Atlantic on your lips. You stop for a moment in the center of the footbridge and smile. Surrounded by sapphire waves with lacy white crests, beneath a brilliant blue sky with feathery ivory clouds, you take a moment to appreciate the gift of travel. With one train ticket, the world around you can dramatically change in less than a day. It feels good to be in a new environment. The sounds of the surf are like welcoming whispers that encourage you to stay. You are not the first to be invited by this magical place to stay for a while. Something in your gut just feels right, that all things lined up for this trip to take place. You readjust your weekender bag on your opposite shoulder. The weight of it reminds you of your strength as you reach the other side of the bridge. You arrive at a stone path lined by cultivated rows of purple heather. The ocean breeze rustles the lush yet hardy blossoms and creates a hushing sound that soothes you deeply. It offers the same nurturing powers of a mother soothing her child before a nap. And while there may be times in your daily life that you question yourself, the world, and others, this moment makes you believe that everything is okay, that all will be okay. There is beauty everywhere, and all around you nature thrives. You continue to walk on the stone path and arrive at the base of the lighthouse tower. You cannot suppress the smile that forms on your lips, nor would you want to. It is a smile of elation as you look up at the gleaming white stone. You shield your eyes from the sun as you focus on the black metal facade of the lantern room. A vision flashes before you of the first couple, and you imagined how proud they must have been to tend to the light each night. You hear Maribel's sweet voice before seeing her come down the stairs of the wraparound porch of the stone cottage. I had a feeling you were about to arrive. Your room is ready. You turn to notice the laugh lines and crinkles around her eyes that form on her sun-kissed skin. This is a woman who has smiled warmly and often, and something about her makes you feel safe and at home. Maribel offers to help with your bag. In fact, she insists, and you let her carry it as she guides you around the porch to the other side of the stone cottage. She leads you to a private entrance to your suite that overlooks a sea wharf in the village. Quaint beach cottages in hues of scarlet red, navy blue, and buttermilk scatter the wharf and have small docks where people sunbathe and jump into the brisk water. You count at least 3 or 4 sailboats gracefully gliding atop the glittering deep blue waves. The view never gets old, no matter the season, Maribel expresses, as if reading your mind. The beauty that surrounds you is the kind that inspires artists to pick up their brushes and dip them into oil paint in saturated hues to capture this beauty. Maribel guides you to a navy blue door with a white crescent moon above a sign that reads, "The Crescent Suite." Like sailors, all the owners and residents of the lighthouse throughout time have maintained the same reverence for Mother Nature, for the winds and the tides, for the moons and the weather patterns. On this jagged peninsula, human vulnerability creates humility and respect and a deep appreciation for the ever-changing environment. Maribel says the waning crescent moon symbolizes protection from negativity in some cultures and offers a chance for letting go. She tells you that the Lighthouse Inn is a healing place to let go of things that weigh you down and hold you back. The door opens into the charming suite with cathedral ceilings. Wooden ceiling fan blades propel through the air like water wheels and spread the perfume of summer flowers kept in antique vases throughout the suite. The rooms offer a perfect mix of historic and modern, of items weathered by time and items freshly picked. Maribel recreated the Lighthouse Inn by preserving timeless elements and making way for modern conveniences. A bay window looks out onto the ocean. A plush cream linen couch with nautical-themed throw pillows is directly across from a stone fireplace. You imagine wintry nights on the peninsula being warmed by the fire. Poster-sized black and white prints depict the lighthouse through different seasons in a way that personifies the dwelling. Looking at the images, you feel as if you know her, that this lighthouse must have a name. You ask Maribel if it ever did. She's taken aback at first, as if no one has ever asked this question before, and she says she named the lighthouse herself and refers to her as Clara after her great-grandmother, because something about this place brings clarity. Standing in the heart of the suite, the energy of the Lighthouse Inn pervades the air and offers a sense of endurance, strength, and peace. Maribel leads you to a small kitchenette where you discover a pitcher of fresh lemonade, fashioned in a way you most enjoy, with fresh raspberries from the garden. Maribel insists that you call at any point that you need something. And before she leaves, she invites you to climb the lighthouse tower if you wish, to see the night's supermoon. You thank her, and once she leaves you to settle into your room, you tuck away your clothes into cedar wood drawers that contain lavender satchels. You wash away a day of travel by cleansing your hands and face with handmade soap shaped like a mermaid that smells like creme brulee. You catch a reflection and your eyes are peaceful, yet sparkle to show your inner beacon of light. It takes one being or object to shine for the sparks to be ignited in others. It is a world of reflections. With a crystal glass of lemonade in your hand, you step outside and notice a hammock beneath an oak tree overlooking the water. The tree is as old as the lighthouse. Sunlight hits the crystal glass and creates tiny rainbows on the green grass as you walk towards the hammock. You settle into the off-white mesh rope of the hammock so that your feet remain connected to the earth. You sip on the lemonade as you gently swing back and forth and acclimate to this new location. Everything about this late day experience has a softness to it. You focus on the waves crashing against the rocky shore. After finishing your drink, you set the glass on a table and climb deeper into the hammock and close your eyes as the net wraps around you like a cocoon. The sun lowers towards the horizon of the village, and you feel the amber light pour over your body. You inhale the smells of summer, the salty, sweet perfume of the Atlantic, of wild strawberries, fresh grass, honeysuckle, and sea-sprayed rocks. You continue to swing back and forth, getting lost in the moment of this perfect summer moment. The crickets and frogs begin to sing out. And when you come out of a lucid dream, you look up to see the sky is ablaze with ribbons of magenta, fiery orange, gold, and lavender. You catch the sun as it dips beyond the village of historic cottages and elegant homes with widow walks. You think of the joy that seafarers must have felt when coming home to their families, knowing that for some wandering souls, the call to join the sea has as much a pull as the love of family and friends. You rise out of the hammock as fireflies illuminate tall blades of minty green American seagrass. The wind has changed direction, and wind chimes strung around the porch add a new melody to the chirping of crickets, the songs of cicadas, and the soft ocean breeze. The temperature drops with twilight's arrival, and the air becomes damp with a coolness that is perfect for sleeping. You let out a sigh as you rise and walk across the dewy grass. The blades brush against your bare shins and calves as your feet connect to the solid earth. You raise your arms overhead and stretch as you make your way toward a small beach. Even in the hottest month of summer, the water remains chilly as it reaches your toes. Your feet sink into the damp sand and tiny rocks. The suction grips the soles of your feet, and you surrender to the feeling as you sink deeper and deeper until the sand rises above your ankles. A seagull flies overhead before diving into the ocean for its nighttime feast. You feel more in harmony with yourself and the environment around you than you have felt in a long time, and with a deep sense of satisfaction and inner peace, you sense the tiredness of this long day of travel will bring you to an early slumber. The supermoon rises over the Atlantic in synchronous timing with the lighthouse turning on and shining a beacon of light into the night sky. The metallic blue sea reflects the light. Do you think again about this world and universe of reflections? The full moon casts you in a pearly glow as you walk around the cottage toward the lighthouse tower. This magical light makes this experience feel like a dream, beyond any beauty you recall experiencing in your waking life. You feel as though you are floating rather than walking. Your limbs are light. Your breathing is relaxed. An oil lantern hangs outside the door of the lighthouse tower. The flame flickers and casts dancing shadows on the pathway to the entrance. You place your hand on the cast iron doorknob and open it into a dimly lit library. A spiral staircase rises out of the heart of the library that contains old maps and first editions of many famous nautical tales. Perhaps you will explore more in the morning, but for now you ascend the stairs to the viewing deck of the lighthouse. One by one you climb, with your fingers loosely grasping the cool metal banister. You reach the top of the tower and see the moon pouring light over the sea, surrounded by glass window panes. You feel as if you are inside an hourglass. You press open one of the tall windows and step out onto a metal platform. You grip the sturdy railing as the breeze sweeps across your face and scalp. The moon reflects the sun onto the dark ocean waters that become mirrors as well. You stand mesmerized in this world of reflections, with your heart facing the full moon. You get lost in the moment and reflect your hopes and dreams on this mystical orb. And like your dreams, the moon changes throughout time, and you realize that change is natural and it's okay. As you stand in the tower, poised high above the sea, you imagine the lighthouse keepers from centuries past, standing in the same spot to reflect on their lives You wonder how much they wished for the same as you do right now. You wonder if they were able to enjoy the feeling of the sun and salty air on their skin as you did today. The human experience, no matter what time, is held together by threads of hope, sensory perceptions, and the magical ability to sleep and to dream. You could stand atop this tower watching the moon drift across the sky as the lunar pull changes the tides. You have arrived at a sense of peace and presence, and there is no rush to overthink or accomplish anything. You are happy to simply exist. Your mind is still and quiet as you look at the body of water below, remembering that water accounts for most of your body's composition. Nayyirah Waheed expressed, "If the ocean can calm itself, so can you. We are both salt water mixed with air." You take in a deep breath and feel the saltwater air on your skin. You feel a warmth radiate from your heart center and share it with the night, encouraging it to travel to all the places in the world in need of light, hoping that it may reach the darkest corners until they reflect light as well. As if in suspended animation, the night unfolds in a series of moments. The descent down the stairs makes you feel heavier and more tired with each step. The delightful walk through the moonlit grass with iridescent dewdrops that look like tiny moons orbiting the emerald green blades. The weathered wooden steps that lead to the white porch. The creak of the wooden planks beneath your feet that tell stories as you return to your suite for a night of restoration. Cascading warm water from a rain shower head, washing away the sand from your toes and the salt from your skin. The smell of homemade soap and fresh linens. The softness of your pajamas that you retrieve from the cedar drawers of a bedstand are now perfumed by lavender satchels. You focus on the glow of the moonlight that pours through the skylights and illuminates the four-poster bed like a spotlight. More moments continue. You drift through them like a dream. The feeling of the silk sleeping mask that you place over your head and eyes as you settle into the tall bed. Beneath the heavy patchwork quilt, more soothing moments unfold with the sound of the ocean crashing against the rocks, the smell of the night air, the feeling of crisp, cool cotton sheets against your skin, the sense of safety you have felt ever since arriving that resonates deep within you ever since you crossed the footbridge to the Lighthouse Inn. This feeling goes beyond words, beyond anything you could articulate, but you trust it as your mind takes the ceremonial journey towards sleep, drifting across the bridge to your dreaming life. And you pause on this bridge like you did on the footbridge, reveling in this beautiful and magical in-between moment before you succumb to sleep. The feeling is not unlike the sensation of a wave just before it crests, or the cascading sensation of the tippy top of an inhalation before you sigh. You welcome this release and the hours of peace and respite that await you. The ceiling fans murmur and circulate the air that kisses your skin, comforting you as you fall asleep. You welcome every subtle sensation that brings ease and release as you surrender. Sleep is waiting to carry you away, so feel free to let go. But if you're not quite ready, let the next story unfold. Maple Island Lighthouse. Maple Island is a magical place, one of the 3,800 islands of Nova Scotia. With a romantic history, the island earned its namesake in the middle of the 20th century, when true love changed the landscape of the small island. Of the 150 lighthouses in the easternmost Canadian region, Maple Island is home to one of the approximately 80 decommissioned lighthouses. For 20 years, the Maple Island Lighthouse has offered a unique bed and breakfast experience, carefully arranged by Jim and Jim, who created a haven for maple enthusiasts to stay. The stone and ivory wood lighthouse offers 5-bedroom suites with cottagecore charm and views of the maple tree forest and rocky coastline. Cooler temperatures start to settle in the area in late August, and the nights bring a briskness ideal for slumber. Like many of the most treasured remote getaways, it's a bit of an adventure to get to Maple Island, particularly once the busy summer season ends. After a ferry delivers you to a harbor with dozens of sailboats, weeks away from being stored for the winter or sailing to southerly shores, you board the wooden deck of a water taxi to continue to the small island. The weather is perfect for all this navigation, and you enjoy each step of the journey as it unfolds on the pristine blue-green water. You settle atop a white wooden bench and feel a slight sway beneath your feet as the taxi begins to pull away from the bustling harbor. The air is crisp, but not biting, with a briny tang that hints at the open sea beyond. Tugging your lightweight parka tighter around you, you settle into the rhythm of the boat, your neck warm under the soft knitted fabric of your turtleneck sweater. The mist rises off the water and lightly lands on your lips and cheeks, the salty air mixing with a scent of sweet, wet wood and a faint peppery trace of wood smoke. There's an excitement to transitioning into autumnal attire and hues, and you appreciate this chance to wear thick socks and boots for the first time this season. Your garments make the sea breeze not only tolerant, but also welcome. The briskness causes your nose to tingle as you inhale the cool, misty air, feeling yourself getting farther and farther away from the constant sounds and busyness of life on the mainland. Ahead, Maple Island emerges on the horizon with vibrant clusters of reds, oranges, and yellows that are blurry in motion and quite surreal against the steel blue sky of late afternoon. The maple trees appear ablaze, their fiery red leaves glowing like lava in the waning light. You've heard about this place for years. The serene beauty of the island, especially in autumn, has long been a favorite escape for artists, writers, and those simply seeking peace. It's a well-kept secret of few. And now is the most ideal time to visit Maple Island, right before the first freeze, when daily foot traffic and sightseeing tours come to a near halt. As you approach from the water, the views of Maple Island are nothing short of breathtaking. The silky waves glide over the rocky coastline, reflecting the vivid colors of the trees. Thanks to the autumn sun, the entire scene unfolding before you appears to be dripping in molten gold. Maple Island has a rich and romantic history, but it wasn't always defined by the abundant maple trees that now cover the landscape. At the turn of the 20th century, it was mainly an island of rolling green hills, dappled with cedar and pine trees, and just a couple red maple trees along the jagged coastline. The island had yet to become a tourist destination and was tended to by a young lighthouse keeper who led a rather lonely life. On a trip to Halifax, he was smitten by an elegant young woman he met in the harbor. Their affection blossomed over time through a series of handwritten letters, keeping their magical connection alive despite the distance and his demanding role as the lighthouse keeper. He worried that no woman would willingly embrace the solitude that often accompanied island life. Yet on a spring picnic date beneath a maple tree, he discovered her fondness for maples as she described a recurring dream that she had for many years. In it, she lived by a maple forest and harvested maple syrup. Determined to win her heart, he returned to the island and planted maple saplings, dreaming of a place they could cherish together. When he finally summoned the courage to propose, he presented her with a painting that captured his visions for the island, a vibrant maple forest in peak autumn hues, alive with color. In the center of the painting was a silhouette of the young couple holding hands. He vowed that they would watch the trees grow side by side. By their 25th anniversary, beneath the lighthouse perched atop the hill, the island had transformed into a stunning mosaic of fiery reds and golden yellows, bringing the lighthouse keeper's engagement promises into reality. And true to his young love's vision, Maple Island became known for its small batch production of maple syrup. To this day, every spring, from March to May, maple sap is collected from the maples, dripping slowly into tin buckets as the trees awaken from the winter freeze. The sap is then boiled and transformed into the island's famous maple syrup, a local delicacy prized far and wide. You've seen the bottles back on the mainland. Their labels, simple yet elegant, are always sold out during the tourist season. And the dreams of this couple would become the dreams of others who would one day call Maple Island home. Your water taxi captain shares the folklore of Maple Island with you, a tale he has likely recounted more times than any of his own personal adventures. You glean that the captain understands loneliness and longs for this kind of love. Recounting the story gives him hope whenever he shares it. As you approach the island's dock, you notice delicate maple leaf-shaped lights strung between tall wooden posts. They sway in the gentle breeze, their orange and crimson glow beginning to shine as the sun edges towards the horizon. The dock is long and wide, well maintained and freshly polished, conjuring a sense of safety and a welcoming touch to greet those arriving by sea. Two Boston Terriers wait eagerly at the end of the pier, their black and white patched hind ends wiggling in pure joy. Lila and Henry are the resident pups and the unofficial welcoming committee. They sport maple leaf bandanas, fluttering in the breeze. Lila wears a scarlet version, while Henry shows off a gold one, making it easy to tell them apart. You can't help but smile at their enthusiasm as they twirl around in circles, and then one another take a seat, sensing the boat captain will arrive with a spare treat or two. The water taxi slows to a stop, and the captain hops out to help unload your bag. He hands over a few deliveries meant for Jim and Jim, the island's beloved proprietors of the Maple Island Lighthouse. Both men, now in their 60s, stand at the dock, ready to greet you with wide smiles. The taller, broader Jim, lovingly nicknamed Big Jim by friends and family, has a ruddy face, weathered from years spent outdoors gardening and maintaining the island. He's dressed in a thick flannel jacket and denim jeans, his large hands skillfully lifting boxes onto a hand truck with ease. Slim Jim, slightly shorter and leaner, wears a burgundy corduroy blazer, a camel sweater, and dark-washed jeans. His posture relaxed, and his demeanor soft-spoken and thoughtful. He corrals Lila and Henry, keeping them from overwhelming you with affection, though their eager black noses still manage to poke at your boots. You express you don't mind as you run your hand across their shiny coats that feel warm from the sun. Slim Jim offers you a warm handshake and says, "Welcome to Maple Island." As Big Jim loads the last of the deliveries, Slim Jim gestures for you to follow him along the path leading from the dock. The scent of the sea mingles with the sweet, intoxicating aroma of fallen and decaying leaves. The salty air, bracing yet refreshing. Underfoot, the wood chip path crunches softly beneath your boots as you are surrounded by towering maple trees planted with love over a century ago. The foliage is a few weeks shy of peak autumn hues, but the blend of deep reds, golden yellows, and vivid oranges is at its most diverse. Half the trees appear as though they're on fire, backlit by the magenta sun, while the rest display an eye-pleasing tapestry of golds and yellows that stretch across the island. You walk past a rustic welcome sign crafted from wood and carved in the shape of a maple leaf. Weathered but beautiful in its simplicity, it reads, "The Maple Island Lighthouse Inn, established 2004. A single maple leaf, vibrant and red, flutters down from above, carried gently by the breeze. It sways back and forth before gracefully landing on Lila's back, where it rests for a moment before the Boston Terrier shakes it off with a playful twist of her black and white torso. Jim and Jim were the visionaries behind the bed and breakfast, never imagining a decommissioned lighthouse and private island would be where they ultimately settled. Over 20 years ago, Big Jim toiled 70 hours a week at a top restaurant in Providence, while Slim Jim served the high-pressure, continent-hopping lifestyle of a corporate leader. They knew that burning the candle at both ends could only go on for so long, and a weekend getaway with their pups brought them to Maple Island at the right time. And every guest that arrives at this charming island feels grateful for the twist of fate that led the Jims to remodel the lighthouse into a bed and breakfast. You follow the Jims and pups down the path to a wide grassy lawn where a kaleidoscope of maple leaves carpets the ground. Atop a hill, standing tall and proud, is the Maple Island Lighthouse. Over 150 years old, the lighthouse has been meticulously restored, its ivory wooden boards gleaming in the golden hour light. The stone walls at its base, worn smooth by the elements, shimmer with a heavenly amber glow. A larger-than-life scarlet maple leaf hangs proudly in the center of the ivory tower. The Jims have added a wraparound front porch to the lighthouse, offering panoramic views of the island and the blue-green ocean beyond the coastline. The craftsmanship is evident in every detail, reflecting the love and care they dedicated to preserving this piece of history. You can't help but wonder how different the world might be if this level of commitment and passion were present everywhere. Slim Jim carries your bag up to the porch, inviting you to settle in and enjoy some tea and light bites while you make yourself at home. Big Jim follows indoors, hauling the boxes of supplies from the parked cart. The pups, Lila and Henry, stay close by, circling your feet before settling down beside you as you sink into a plush outdoor chair. The chair is perfectly positioned beside a small tabletop fire pit, its soft flames dancing in the cool evening air. Jazz music plays softly from a hidden speaker. The Jims have a soundtrack for every hour of the day, finessing its transitions for all the guests who lounge around the property. The music complements the distant sounds of crashing surf, the rustling of the trees, and the soft crackle of the fire. As you sit, watching the sky shift from pale blue to shades of pink and lavender, a fine mist begins to roll in from the sea. It hovers over the sparkling sapphire waters, cloaking the distant rocks in a soft, gray, dreamlike haze. A few boats drift lazily by, their sails catching the last rays of the setting sun. The temperature drops slightly, and you're grateful for the warmth of your knitted turtleneck and parka. The scent of burning wood from the fire pit marries the briny scent carried on the mist. The pups fall asleep by your feet as you sip the warm maple apple tea and enjoy a light dinner. You hear the footsteps of another guest and turn to see an older woman dressed in a vintage paisley caftan and long sweater jacket. Her silver and white hair shimmers in the last rays of sunlight and flows to the middle of her back. Her presence exudes quiet confidence, and her eyes display an attention to detail and perceptiveness. She seems familiar, and you soon discover she's a well-known author who has retreated to Maple Island for the past 15 years. Every autumn, she spends a month visiting with the Jims, relishing the chance to write and edit in peace, far from the hustle and bustle of her home in New Orleans. She asks about your travels, kind and inquisitive, and you're honored for her inquisitiveness. Then she slips away for her routine sunset walk along the beach. Slim Jim reappears with a steaming mug of tea, and Big Jim, now finished unpacking his deliveries, joins you on the porch. The pups begin to stir, and the fire burns brightly as the last light of the day disappears beyond the horizon. You stand and stretch your arms overhead, taking in the beauty of the island and endless sea. The night stretches out before you as you breathe in the tranquility of Maple Island. Jim offers you a key with a unique leather keychain painted with the image of a marina with sailboats and the words "Cozy Harbor Room" burned into the leather. Slim Jim offers a tour of the lighthouse, and so you follow him into the main room. Black spiral steps wind up the center of the living room. Logs burn in a cast iron wood stove by bay windows that look out onto an herb garden. The farmhouse-style kitchen offers a marble island where breakfast is served daily. Copper pots hang from the ceiling, and a silver tray with a box of tea, an electric kettle, and an espresso maker are in a nook, offering access to hot drinks whenever you like. The open concept space features a rustic wood farmhouse dining table with 8 seats in a sunroom the gyms added during renovations. Radiant floor heating keeps the ceramic cobalt blue and teal tiles of the kitchen floor warm year-round. The decor captures the essence of the Atlantic and maple tree motifs. You follow Jim up the stairs, winding round and round as the moon rises in the gradient of dark and medium blue sky outside the dozens of windows added to the lighthouse during renovations. He brings you to the second floor, where a hallway leads to another stairwell that circles around the perimeter of the lighthouse to the third floor. Windows along the way give 360-degree views of Maple Island. He brings you to the cozy harbor room, and you unlock the door as he asks what time you'd like breakfast in the morning. He then says, "Don't hesitate to ask if you need anything at all." The door opens into a suite that is much larger than you anticipated, occupying half the floor. Multi-paned windows look out onto the maple forest, with a slice of the ocean visible beyond it. The vibrant leaves are now cast in nocturnal blues, the maple trunks shrouded in mist, while the sky is crystal clear as stars begin to shine. A ceiling fan features scarlet and gold-tinted crystal light fixtures in the shape of maple leaves, with wooden blades in the shape of oars. The Maple Lighthouse masterfully captures the essence of the maple forest and nautical heritage in an elegant way. A wave of tiredness washes over you, the day finally catching up. You remove your parka and hang it on a vintage brass door hook in the shape of a maple leaf. You spot your luggage carefully placed on a rack and open it to remove your pajamas and toiletries to make your way to the remodeled ensuite. Gleaming white subway tiles rise to the middle of the wall. The top half and ceiling painted in a satiny shade of sapphire blue. Vintage sconces cast the room in golden light. You strike a match to light the 5 wooden wicks of a maple and cinnamon jar candle perched on the wide windowsill and turn on the shower. The wicks crackle as the flames dance and reflect on the glass. You brush your teeth as the water heats up and steam fills the room. You change out of your warm clothes and step atop the cobalt blue shower tiles to enjoy a long shower. You cleanse with a mini soap bar in the shape of a maple leaf that emits an autumn fragrance of amber, maple, and sandalwood. It's a subtle woodsy aroma that reminds you of your afternoon walk on the island. Your body becomes heavy and your eyelids feel better closed as drowsiness wins. You step out of the shower and towel off, changing into your favorite autumn pajamas. You put out the candle with an elegant gold brass snuffer that rests on the windowsill. Curls of smoke rise toward the steamy glass panes, and you wipe them to see an island cloaked in a veil of mist that becomes pearly white in the moonlight. You return to the cozy harbor bedroom that features a canopy bed, its frame inspired by the sails of a boat, creating a cocoon that billows in the autumn breeze entering the cracked window. You pull back a cream bedspread and dark blue satin sheets, climbing atop the cool memory foam mattress. As your body warms the bed, it contours around you with support. Outside, the stars twinkle in the velvety navy sky, and you peer at them one last time, imagining all the brave souls at sea, using them as guidance, being led safely ashore by the beams of lighthouses like this one. This thought conjures a bone-deep sense of awe and safety as you give in to the tug of sleep, gratefully welcoming its persistent undertow that will bring you to deep rest and dreams waiting to be discovered. Let the light of the story guide you to a restful sleep. Or if your eyes are still open, let's journey to the light of another tale. The Healing Lighthouse. In this journey, you'll travel by rowboat to a secluded island where you'll arrive at the storied lighthouse. You'll swim in the warm ocean as summer fades and you wash away your day in a fragrant shower, and then climb the spiral staircase to your cozy bedroom at the top of the lighthouse tower. This story will guide you to a place of peace, safety, and rest. Imagine you are seated inside a sturdy wooden rowboat that has been restored and reconditioned. This rowboat is older than you and has many stories to tell. The worn, smooth seat feels comfortable beneath you, and with each gentle rise and fall of the waves, the boat makes a soft creaking sound. Your hands rest on the wooden oars, the familiar grain of the wood, a comforting sensation. As you dip the oars into the tranquil sapphire water, you feel the gentle resistance, a steady rhythmic pull that engages the muscles in your back and shoulders. With each pull, you feel a quiet strength within you, a deep sense of purpose as you glide over the sun-kissed surface of the water. The cool, salty spray creates a veil of mist on your relaxed face. It feels refreshing, a new start, and opening to all the sensory aspects of this unique and beautiful moment. You hear the lapping of the water against the hull as the boat moves closer to the shore, where a towering striped lighthouse has provided comfort for seafarers since 1852. And now it is your home away from home. Right now, the sapphire waves glisten in the sunlight as if honey has been poured upon them, gently leading you to the shore. All the colors around you are rich, warm, and saturated. You use the oar to guide yourself through the shallow water, inhaling deeply the fragrant, salty air of the warm ocean. You can even hear the gentle crunch of pebbles under the hull of your boat. As you reach the shore, you step your bare feet into the water, welcoming the tingling sensation from the salt. You have a sense that this could be your last chance to comfortably enjoy a late summer swim. Before heading up to the lighthouse, you safely dock your boat and then dive into the lapping waves. A wave of invigorating, cool water rushes over you as you dive in, and you feel a wonderful surge of life in your fingers and toes, your arms and legs. You push through the silky resistance of the tide, your movements strong and graceful as you swim around the small, cozy island. Rolling onto your back, you taste the clean brininess of the seawater on your lips. As you float, tiny droplets of water cling to your eyelashes, catching the sun's last golden light and shimmering like diamonds. You are buoyed by the gentle, rolling rhythm of the waves, feeling safe and held by the endless sea. She inspires you to match her tempo, dissolving all your concerns and lingering thoughts. As you rise and fall, and rise and fall. From this vantage point, just below the lighthouse, floating carelessly on the waves, the lighthouse creates an even deeper sense of appreciation with its majesty and steady presence. Feeling strong and healthy, you swim toward the shore as the sun disappears for the day. The beacon of light from the lighthouse comes to life, turning on almost intuitively just as you reach the pebbled beach. You feel the cool stones massaging your tired feet, releasing all tension. Walking toward the lighthouse, you come to the outdoor shower on your own little island, tucked behind weathered wooden boards. You turn on the hot, steaming water and step under the wide shower fall, washing away the salt and the day you've left behind. Boughs of fresh eucalyptus hang around the cedar walls, creating a clean, uplifting fragrance that helps you relax even further. Your muscles melt like soft wax. Your joints soften and find a little more space. And a peaceful surrender makes you realize how wonderfully tired you truly are. Outside the shower, a plush clean towel and robe await you. You bundle up against the cooler breezes that come with night and step your feet into a pair of soft slippers. As you walk along the stone path to the entry of the lighthouse, the twilight sky has rich bands of purple and fuchsia that slowly fade into deep sapphire blue as glittery stars and a crescent moon emerge. You enter the first floor of your lighthouse, taking in the cozy furnishings of the living room. You decide to climb to the top for one last look at the night sky and approach the spiral stairs that will guide you up. And with each step, you find yourself feeling more and more tired, more ready to unwind and settle in for the night. You continue up to the second floor, past the kitchen and dining area, counting the second set of steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With each step, you feel more and more relaxed, So happy to have this special, safe home. You continue to the 3rd floor, where your soft, plush brass bed with a patchwork quilt awaits you. Still you continue. At the last narrowing, winding staircase, it leads you to a parapet, which you open to the tower, sitting below the beacon of light, shining out across the harbor and sea. You look out into the glistening darkness. You feel mesmerized by the stars above and the light shining on the dark waters below. As you close your eyes, you inhale the salty, cool night air as deeply as you can, and then exhale. And with your eyes closed, you suddenly feel the beacon of light that is deep inside of you, finding the stillness that houses your inner spirit. You connect with yourself right now, envisioning how you too may go about your life as a beacon of light. Feel the warmth in your heart as you open your eyes and watch the light continue to shine on. Remember this gentle feeling. Whenever doubts or concerns arise in your waking life, whenever you need to remember how special and unique you are, your mind can drift to this memory of what it feels like to just shine, to just let the light warm you from the inside out, and how wonderful it is to inhabit this beacon of safety, thinking of how many lives throughout time relied on and celebrated the light shining from this lighthouse. How you too can be a beacon of light and safety, emanating warmth and peace. Feeling so tired, you look up at the crescent moon and stars one last time before beginning your descent down the stairs to your bed. As you wind your way back down, sleepiness comes like the waves lapping against the island. You step into the bedroom and take off your slippers and collapse into the bed, sinking into the plush topper. The room is dimly lit by antique lanterns hanging around the exposed brick walls. The room is a cavern of comfort, simple and serene, A patchwork quilt covers the bed in brilliant blue and green jewel tones that capture the essence of the sea. You slowly rise before sleep takes hold and change out of the robe into cozy flannel pajamas. On a nearby shelf, an abundant selection of blankets awaits you, folded neatly. There is a blanket for every mood, for every weather event. You take a moment to decide. You might reach for a heavy, braided wool blanket for deep warmth. Its dark green color, a perfect match for a quiet mood. Or perhaps a light linen throw, a soft breathable comfort in a gentle ivory shade. There's a sky blue weighted blanket, but for the coziest feeling on the chilliest of nights, there's a ridiculously oversized fuzzy blanket, the kind you could get lost in. A soft lavender color that feels as calming as it looks. You are surrounded by softness as you select the perfect blanket for tonight. Just behind the bed is an octagon window made of stained glass. It's open just a crack, allowing the cool night air to drift in. The briny fragrance of the Atlantic fills the room as you hear the rhythmic lapping of the waves outside, relaxing as you sense yourself going deeper and deeper down into a state of peace. You cuddle beneath the quilt in your chosen blanket, feeling safe and snug. Maybe there's a pet who shares this lighthouse with you, who comes up the stairs to join you for slumber, cuddling at your feet and warming them. Or maybe there's a beloved stuffed toy, something that has significant meaning and always makes you feel reassured. Your head sinks into the pillows, feeling heavy as you drift toward maritime dreams. For often the salty air and whispers of the sea are enough to inspire the best dreams a person may have. Your eyelids feel like shutters, closing for the night as you drift further and further away. Feel the space between your muscles and joints, the space between your vertebrae, between your fingers and toes. And in these spaces, welcome a warm, healing light, like the light of the lighthouse. A deep, resonating sense of home, stillness, and safety starts at the core of your being and radiates through your limbs, out your toes and fingers, to the crown of your head. It feels like a warm, tingling pulse, bringing with it contentment and an ease of being. Your mind is now drifting to an ethereal, dreamlike state. Feel the gentle wind flow across the bed. Right now you feel tranquility and peace. The heaviness of your lids is winning over any desire to stay awake, drifting and drifting as the soporific sounds of the lapping waves bring a gentle, melodic peace. With your eyes closed for the night, memories of joy come flooding to you. You feel a warm, tingling sensation all over, while your core feels so heavy, so relaxed, so in tune with a sacred harmony with the sea, with the night, with your sacred haven atop the lighthouse tower. You focus as you breathe in and out, how good it feels to have something existing just for you, nurturing and kind, and so very much deserved. Happy and warm, serene and grateful, you succumb to the moment as the tiredness takes over, and you may now rest for as long as you desire. Breathing in and breathing out, you are free to drift away from my voice to a dreamy world. As shadows dance from the dimly lit lanterns along the walls. Beautiful and serene as you are floating deeper and deeper down, drifting away, closer to the delicate edges of sleep. And if anyone were to witness this moment, or you were to rise above and peer into the scene from the outside, you would see the soft, sleeping face of a person who is so very happy and relaxed, so safe and snuggled into this beautiful place for repose and healing. High atop this lighthouse tower, you are connected to the sea and closer to the stars, as if sleeping among them, watching over the waves below. You let go right now, drifting down, 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 letting your consciousness drift away with the last of the summer winds into the night as you travel to healing dreams. Welcome the waves of sleep that tug at you, inviting you to let go or enjoy another lighthouse tale. Stormy night at the Lilac Lighthouse. The love from a grandmother is distinct from a mother's. It can be more indulgent, more patient, and more understanding of the fleeting essence of time. A gift that often brings the wisdom of no longer sweating the small stuff. Cassidy was raised on the mainland of Canada by her grandmother Betty, a true force of nature. Elegant and poised, Betty packed a small suitcase and ventured to Hollywood during the height of musical productions, dreaming of a life as a dancer. But fate had other plans, and within a year, she found herself back in St. John. She soon married and became a mother to Cassidy's mother, though her passion for dance never faded. She opened a small dance studio, a place both her child and grandchild would eventually attend. Betty knew that having a dream was important, but learning to dream a new dream when the sails of life changed was even more vital. Decades later, after many unexpected turns, Betty found herself raising her granddaughter Cassidy. She instilled a profound sense of resilience in the little girl. Betty nurtured Cassidy's spirit with adventures, including an annual summer cruise around the islands of Nova Scotia. During these voyages, Betty often spoke of the profound beauty of a small, unnamed island, where the beam of an old lighthouse tower would cut through the darkest nights, a powerful beacon of hope. A constant gardener, Betty would often remark that her dream was to fill that rugged island with lilacs. Light purple was her signature color, gracing everything from her silk blouses to her pressed linen pants, from elegant vintage chiffon scarves to her very sensible shoes. To any other passenger on the boat that day, such a whimsical daydream spoken aloud would be just that, a fleeting thought. But Cassidy was merely 5 at the time, and her grandmother's visions were just as real to her as starting school in the fall. That particular vision of a lilac-filled island with its guiding light remained gently tucked within her mind for 2 decades. 20 years later, a rare opportunity arose. An auction for the very lighthouse and island Betty had so often admired. Drawing upon her grandmother's inheritance, Cassidy acted fast and knew on a soul level that this was her destiny. She became the winning bidder at a remarkably low price, ready to fulfill that long-ago vision. Years of dedicated renovations followed, transforming the weathered structure. Finally, the doors to the Lilac Lighthouse opened to its first guests, and the entire island became a protected historical preserve, a testament to a grandmother's daydream and a granddaughter's enduring love. Your journey to the Lilac Lighthouse has been a long one, not just across the water, but an unexpected trail of research and discovery. You first learned about the Lilac Lighthouse when you stumbled upon a painting, an exquisite rendering of a serene island with a graceful ivory lighthouse tower with winding lilacs and painted from its base to its beacon of light. You gazed at it for some time, wondering if such an enchanting place could truly exist beyond the canvas. Driven by a hopeful curiosity, you began to research, and to your astonishment, your search led you to the Lilac Lighthouse's booking page. The modest space has limited availability, but somehow the timing aligned perfectly. And now, here you are, on a water taxi slicing through the calm blue expanse, carrying you closer to the island. The sun, a sparkling white gold beacon in the cornflower blue sky, melts into the thick, humid air, which is delightfully chilled by the occasional spray of the sea. As the taxi glides towards the quaint white dock, a figure emerges, waiting to greet you. It's Cassidy, standing alongside a plump, demure, long-haired cat, a swirl of white and silver that sits regally at her feet. Cassidy herself is an ethereal vision, wearing a long, lilac floral cotton dress with a sweetheart neckline, a style that feels wonderfully timeless, as if plucked from another era. A beam of gilded sunlight forms a halo around her hair, half up in a braid crown, as the rest flows down her back. Sparkling sapphire water and lilac bushes beyond frame her like the technicolor dream of an old Hollywood musical, a world her grandmother Betty had once yearned to be a part of, and was for a short spell. As you disembark, the intoxicating scent of lilac fills your nose, carried on the humid ocean breeze with the slightest hint of brininess and decaying seaweed. A winding, silvery white gravel path snakes its way up a small hill as an astonishing abundance of lilacs lies around it like protective gates. The lilacs are in full, glorious bloom, their myriad shades of purple and violet, a vibrant and fragrant welcome. The cat, as if on cue, darts ahead, pausing only to trill and swat at a velvety bumblebee that flits over the path and lands on a petal. Cassidy introduces herself and her fancy-footed feline, Audrey, who leads the way with a playful swish of a fluffy tail. Cassidy extends a warm smile and offers you a cool, vintage glass bottle of fresh, sparkling lemonade. The condensation cools your hand as you take a sip, feeling the carbonation and acidity as your mouth waters, and you are instantly refreshed. The lilac bushes open up to reveal a grassy knoll that leads to the lighthouse. Dozens of lilac shrubs surround the base of the ivory tower. Its smooth surface is hand-painted with delicate lilac blooms that wind gracefully around it, spiraling all the way to the very top. Cassidy explains that she used to paint ceramics together with her grandmother during the long, dark Canadian winters. Her voice softens with pride as she reveals that many of the lamps inside were painted by her grandmother. Reaching the lighthouse, Cassidy offers to take your bag directly to your room, inviting you to settle in and explore the vibrant grounds at your leisure. She suggests meeting her in the white gazebo at sunset for dinner, where other guests will be joining her. The only other guests right now are a young couple from Boston, fresh out of law school and enjoying a quick retreat before their demanding summer associate positions begin. The final guest is a book editor, currently immersed in a thrilling new novel for a best-selling author that she has promised to secrecy, but Cassidy hints that he might reveal it at dinner. You hand off your small navy weekender bag to thank her, taking the lemonade with you on your island rendezvous. Audrey races across the emerald lawn in a fluffy flash. You walk a path along the shoreline first, the pebbles and stones clicking and clacking beneath your feet. Rose bushes burst with fragrant blooms, their fluttering pink and fuchsia petals kissed by the sea air. You wander beneath a canopy of conifers that lead to a secret fairy garden, tended to by children who have visited over the years. Small benches in the shade lead to a tree swing amidst more lilac bushes, perfectly positioned to overlook the vast expanse of the ocean. Settling into its gentle rhythm, you watch the waves roll in, thinking of Betty's dreams, one by one leaving an impression and stirring dreams in others. Before arriving, you read many articles and interviews with Cassidy over the years, and even her loving portrayal of the island does little to capture the unforgettable beauty you experience on this leisurely afternoon. And now, as time seems to stretch and soften before you, you get to enjoy Betty's long-ago reverie, swept up in the serene magic of the island. You lose track of time until Audrey the cat emerges, as if to summon you to dinner. You rise and stretch her arms overhead, as if it's the first stretch of the morning, feeling renewed to the core. You take a shortcut back, the lighthouse tower, high above the canopy of trees, visible all the way. As the sun descends toward the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery orange and magenta, you find your way to the white gazebo, nestled just beyond the lighthouse. A rustic white farmhouse table is adorned with crystal vases, overflowing with freshly cut lilacs, and a billowing lavender cheesecloth table runner. An antique candelabra sits in the center, surrounded by a light meal, clearly harvested fresh from the island's greenhouse. Salads and grilled items fill wooden bowls and platters. You join the other guests and Cassidy, and they welcome you with big smiles and kind eyes. A gentle murmur of conversation blends with the persistent soundtrack of the waves lapping against the shore. The air is filled with comfortable camaraderie, the shared tranquility of this unique haven, making strangers feel like friends as the first stars begin to prickle the twilight sky. Once more you think of Betty and how all of you have come together from such different walks of life to enjoy this perfect alfresco meal with her granddaughter. A dramatic shift begins on the horizon. From the west, colossal storm clouds emerge, rolling in with an undeniable force. Deep purples and bruised grays swirl together in their underbellies, while their cottony tops take on the hue of lilacs. They sweep across the sky and swallow the twilight blues and faintest stars. The air, still holding the day's warmth, suddenly takes on a new coolness, carrying a fresh mineral scent, the promise of rain. Looks like Mother Nature has different plans for the evening. Cassidy smiles, already moving with grace to clear the outdoor table, wrapping runners around dishes to form impromptu sacks. There's a flurry of activity as everyone pitches in, a shared sense of fun and anticipation in the air. Just as the last dish and candelabra are whisked inside, the first fat, heavy drops begin to fall, splattering loudly on the gazebo roof. Everyone dashes playfully across the lawn, seeking shelter, as Audrey sits with authority on the covered porch that wraps around the lighthouse. A collective gasp of delight and a few good-natured laughs ripple through the small group. As the rain intensifies, you assemble in the open concept kitchen, helping to clean and set things away. Cassidy insists you should all just relax, but there's a familial spirit in the way everyone helps out. Once the kitchen is returned to rights, the other guests bid their good nights, retreating to the comfort of their individual suites, leaving you and Cassidy bathed in the soft glow of the lighthouse's interior. "Come with me," Cassidy invites, her eyes bright with the excitement of the brewing storm. She leads you higher and higher up the light purple winding stairs to the lantern room, the very top of the lighthouse. The air up here crackles with energy. You press against the thick glass, mesmerized. The sheer force of the storm's approach is breathtaking. Lightning flashes in jagged streaks across the vast expanse of the sky, illuminating the churning ocean below in stark, fleeting brilliance. A moment later, the deep, resonating thunder rumbles, a drumbeat that vibrates softly through the very bones of the lighthouse. The horizon lights up with otherworldly purples and blues as each lightning strike momentarily paints the tumultuous scene. Cassidy's voice is steady, a calm anchor against the storm's wild song, as she explains that Nova Scotia is home to over 150 lighthouses. This one, she says, decommissioned decades ago, once guided countless lives home, including the sailboat of a young man and his father. She expresses that even though the lighthouse is no longer needed as it once was, she hopes the vibrant lilac theme be a different source of light and inspiration to those who pass by, just as she once did with her grandmother as a little girl. You stand with Cassidy in silence for a few more moments, lost in the mesmerizing play of the lightning and waves as the ocean reflects the flashes of light, doubling their beauty. Cassidy smiles and sighs as she says, "Isn't it quite amazing to exist in the same world as a storm this beautiful?" All storms may be beautiful. From the comforts of a dwelling like this, where you may safely hunker down for the night. And in the Lilac Lighthouse, you feel as safe as you have ever felt. Cassidy offers to lead you down to the main floor, once more winding around the purple spiral stairs. The spacious guest suites, added in a seamless extension to the original lighthouse structure, offer a comforting retreat. Cassidy leads you to your haven for the night, beautifully themed lilac suite. The light from the hallway spills in, illuminating white ceramic lamps with delicate hand-painted coastal scenes, abundant with lilacs on their bases. On the bed, an embroidered quilted blanket, also adorned with subtle lilac patterns, promises warmth as the temperatures drop tonight. Your gaze drifts to a framed, glamorous black and white photo of Betty, poised elegantly in a silk gown on a stage, living out a small piece of her Hollywood dreams. You thank her for such a lovely start to summer, grateful for all she has shared and all she has created. She smiles in return, letting you know she's available if you need anything tonight. She quietly disappears, leaving you in the solace of your suite. You step into the ensuite bathroom, turning on the shower in an old clawfoot tub. The water is perfectly warm, and you step beneath it and reach for the homemade oatmeal and lilac soap. The lather is rich and soothing, a creamy caress on your skin. As you cleanse, the rain outside patters rhythmically against the mullioned windows, each drop releasing the faint, sweet perfume of lilacs as they land on the petals just beyond the pane. Once clean and refreshed, you step outside and towel off and change into pajamas. You pad back to the bed and pull back the soft quilted blanket and snuggle beneath it with a favorite book. The rhythmic sounds of the storm become quite hypnotic, and the cozy warmth within is a comforting embrace, a home away from home. You read for some time, and your eyes grow heavy, the words on the page blurring softly. You fight sleep for a few moments, aiming to push through another page or two. But tiredness wins, and you reach out to turn off the light and close your eyes. Your body feels delightfully tired and fulfilled as you sink into a mattress so supportive yet giving that it feels custom made for you. Visions of Lilac Island flash before your mind's eye. The vibrant purple hues, the elegant lighthouse, the dramatic storm. An uplifting thought stirs. How a single dream held dear by a grandmother could create so many new dreams in its wake. As the mighty ocean waves approach the shores, the gentle waves of sleep softly tug at you, welcoming you to their comforting embrace as you surrender completely. You can surrender to sleep now, or simply enjoy one more lighthouse story. Lighthouse on Lake Michigan. Lighthouse on Lake Michigan. Sometimes life takes us to places we never expect. Tonight, encounter the wonders of what comes when you leave behind the familiar for something new, free of expectations. It was a cold, snowy winter night, just past midnight, when Nora found herself in the dimly lit basement of Port Authority. Her life had taken an unexpected turn. The home she always knew suddenly no longer felt like home. The city was alive. Times Square full of revelers pouring out of restaurants and clubs well into the night, bundling against the cold in what would be the last taste of winter before spring arrived. Nora had no idea where this impulsive decision might lead her. But with a canceled summer wedding and a windowless cubicle job that stole her daylight hours with a harsh fluorescent glare, she knew any choice would offer an improvement. She approached the ticket window nearly opaque from underground grime and scratches of time, and bought a ticket for the next bus to leave the station. It would take her and her life now contained in a ruby rolling suitcase west, and a nearly 2-day journey that gave her time to sleep and dream, watching as the snowy landscape unfolded outside the bus window on the way to Kalamazoo, Michigan. She hadn't been on a bus since an overnight trip in college, and maybe it seemed nonsensical, but it brought back the youthful hope she felt back then, not concerned with the comforts afforded by air travel. Nora had spent her entire life calculating risks and plotting out the perfect path. And in the end, it simply didn't go as planned. She was still young enough to stubbornly believe it should have. As the bus pulled out of the Lincoln Tunnel, the glittering lights of Manhattan, the lights that once took her breath away, seamlessly faded into dark farmlands as miles passed by, and she couldn't be more grateful. As Nora put physical distance between herself and New York, each mile unfolding with uncertainty, but full of promise, a recurring dream came to her as the vibrations of the wheels on the highway brought her in and out of sleep. She saw a lighthouse shining on endless waves in the sapphire cast of a starry night sky. An East Coaster all her life, she assumed it was the Atlantic Ocean in her dreams, which seemed like a strange vision as she was getting farther and farther away from the coast. Nora had been dutiful and serious all her life, a planner and schemer, with to-do lists and accomplishments. Her Type A personality led her full speed into the demise of her mental health, and came with a high cost of dimming her inner light. However childish or insane this mission may have been, something inside her snapped, and she simply no longer cared. There had to be more to life than being constantly responsible and answering every demand but the loud, yearning calls of her soul. They could only be ignored for so long, and so Nora continued to let fate decide her destination as she disembarked in Kalamazoo. She happened upon a postcard left on the snow-dusted concrete floor beneath the brick arches of the historic station. It depicted a charming Queen Anne-style bed and breakfast on the eastern shore of Lake Michigan, named the Candle Glow Inn. By sunset, Nora found herself on the sprawling wraparound deck of the bed and breakfast, knocking on the front door, with a hope the inn was open during the off-season. When no one answered, she wandered around the back of the inn to watch the fiery orange sunlight reflect on the lake and the floating ice that was a day away from thawing completely. The back of the inn glowed in the enchanting warm light, and she found the innkeeper, Francis, seated on a bench on the pebbled beach. Francis sensed her presence and turned, meeting her with a kind, grandmotherly gaze, as if she could read Nora's story in her eyes long before the younger woman uttered a word. Frances smiled and waved her over to take in the sunset together. Another day done, another chapter closed. Frances was often alone in the winter months, running the bed and breakfast with the occasional help from her children, who were quite busy raising children of their own. Nora arrived in perfect timing. Frances, too stubborn to hire full-time support in the off-season, somehow found it easy to come to an arrangement and accept Nora's help. She intuitively knew Nora needed to be there as much as Frances could use a hand. On the first night at the inn, Nora discovered an oil painting of a lighthouse hung above the fireplace in the main room. It very much resembled the lighthouse in her dreams, depicting the dark, lush blue greens of glittering waves and the celestial sky. Frances explained her son had painted it as a birthday gift, as a reminder of decades of boating adventures. Nora helped through the transitionary period, airing out the charming rooms of the inn, reorganizing and restocking, and helping with reservations. She adapted to the slower rhythm of Michigan and the direct yet friendly ways of Michiganders. One morning, settled in the sunroom and enjoying a cup of tea, Nora leafed through the local newspaper and came upon an auction notice for the lighthouse. She knew it was meant to be hers. And so, with a decade of savings, she thought would finance a dream wedding and a down payment for a home, Nora instead invested in the lighthouse, pouring her heart and soul into its renovations. She renamed the lighthouse the Beacon Inn, and when she shared the name with Frances, in her excited, fast-paced New York accent, the older woman thought she said, "The beginning." Only when brochures were printed did Frances find herself in a fit of laughter, explaining the misunderstanding. But for Nora it was a beginning, and Frances became a mentor, offering unwavering support and wisdom, as well as a place to stay when the Beacon Inn shuttered in the winter months, and Lake Michigan became a mighty, moody force. But today, on this perfect spring day on Lake Michigan, it's hard to imagine swells or unpredictable currents, as the blue-green waters are perfect for navigating. You sit in the back of a small motorboat with Nora as she guides you from the shores of the Candleglow Inn. Sunlight dances upon the water's surface, casting shimmering reflections that prompt you to hide your eyes behind a new pair of sunglasses purchased at a shop in town. White gold caps of waves playfully lap against the sides of the white boat, creating a soothing rhythm that serenades your journey. Nora's water-loving pup Chance sits at the helm with the attentiveness of a sea captain and a royal blue lighthouse bandana wrapped around his neck. As you glide along the lake, historic 19th century homes line the lakeshore, standing as silent witnesses to the passage of time. They are no strangers to the fickle seasons and harsh winters. Their elegant Victorian facades give glimpses into the past and the prosperity found along Lake Michigan. The air is filled with the succulent aromas of spring, a harmonious blend of wildflowers, the chilly lake water, and the earthly aroma of the lakeshore. Light filters through verdant new leaves as shadows dance on the glittering incoming waves. Each breath you take invigorates your senses, rejuvenating your spirit with the seasons unfolding before you. With optimism, the days of winter's chill fade into the background, with the temperate offerings of spring and soon summer. Sunlight pours over the boat, as intense as the heat from a car radiator vent, blowing directly on you. It prompts you to shed your hoodie and bask in the gilded light. Beside you, Nora's vibrant, freckled face beams with joy, her hair catching the breeze and taking flight like a banner of freedom. With passion in her voice, she speaks lovingly of the lake and its rich history, recounting tales of pioneering souls who ventured westward, seeking their fortunes in the lumber and shipping industries. She gives you insights into her own journey and how she never expected to be the keeper of a lighthouse on Lake Michigan. As she speaks, you can't help but feel a profound connection to this majestic body of water, understanding why it has long been a beacon of hope and opportunity for those daring enough to chase their dreams. Soon the lighthouse comes into view. Its white facade gleams in the late afternoon sun, featuring an ebony lookout tower and a scarlet red roof that resembles an acorn cupule or a young child's cap. The once abandoned lighthouse, now transformed into a bed and breakfast, offers 4 unique guest rooms in the tower. Each room affords a view of the lake and the tall grasses and spring wildflowers that thrive on the 3-acre peninsula. Your trip to the Beacon Inn is a bit unexpected, having stayed with Frances at her bed and breakfast before. You only learned about the lighthouse yesterday, when you overheard guests wishing to extend their stay at the Candleglow, but no rooms were available. You offered to check out early to indulge in a night at the lighthouse bed and breakfast. Nora slows the boat to a stop, a few dozen feet from the shore, and lowers the anchor so you may enjoy a late lunch or early dinner on the water. From an old wicker basket, she removes some of your favorite snacks and dishes. As you dine, you dip your fingers into the frigid, pristine waters, feeling the tingling coolness dance across your skin, a refreshing contrast to the warmth of the fading sun. After Chance enjoys a few bites, He falls asleep on a flannel blanket, resting his chin contentedly on the edge of the boat. The newness of spring reveals itself subtly, yet with insistence. Two baby painted turtles swim to the peninsula. The size of $50, they scurry and fight the current, building strength with each paddle of their flippers. The birds have returned, singing praises overhead and landing in new nests, set in the pine trees and deciduous trees on the peninsula. And every once in a while, a largemouth bass breaches the reflective water with a splash. Each moment spent in this tranquil setting, as the lake gently rocks the small boat, feels like a precious gift, an opportunity to reconnect with the rhythms of the natural world and its unfolding transition. As the early evening wanes, time slips away despite your reluctance to let go of the tender warmth of the afternoon and your deep desire to stay in this moment forever. The lighthouse perched on the rocky edge of the peninsula has saved many souls over the centuries, guiding vessels that made their way from the Atlantic through the Great Lakes. The karma of its past, like many lighthouses, radiates through its storied tower, instilling a deep sense of safety and hope. As Nora worked on its renovations, she could imagine the lighthouse thanking her for honoring its value long after it had served its intended purpose. Navigable by the land only when the tide is low, one may make the 3/4-mile hike along a stony path that winds from the eastern shore of Lake Michigan to the tip of the peninsula. But travel by boat is more often preferred by most guests. Nora raises the anchor and expertly guides the boat to the dock, where Chance enthusiastically leaps onto the wooden boards. You gather your belongings, ready to embark on the final leg of your journey. As you ascend the winding path, edged by purple-blue forget-me-nots that blanket the earth, you feel the chill of nightfall on a gentle breeze. Though you're not far from the popular villages along the shore, the energy feels so different here. A bit wilder, a lot more understated, and truly quiet. Other guests, a family of 3, play with a frisbee in the grass as the sun becomes a deep shade of gold. With each step, you draw closer to the lighthouse, trailing behind Chance and Nora to the front door. As you step through the sleek black door of the lighthouse, you're enveloped in an atmosphere of rustic, chic elegance. Nora has done her best to bring back to life the trinkets discovered in dusty trunks left in the lighthouse from prior keepers. jewel-toned patchwork quilts and knitted chenille blankets adorn cozy seating areas, their vibrant hues contrasting beautifully with the mahogany wood-paneled ceilings. Nooks and crannies, each filled with their own unique treasures. Board games and old books exude character and charm at every turn. There are enough candles to make it through a season, and they are placed in sconces, brass candlestick holders, and candelabras throughout the lighthouse. The interior is flooded with natural light by day, thanks to the circular and floor-to-ceiling windows installed during the lighthouse's meticulous renovations. Crystal sun catchers dance in the light, casting prisms of color across the room and adding to the enchanting ambiance. Vintage chandeliers hang from wooden beams, another auction deal Nora enthusiastically describes winning during the slower off-season. Ascending the spiral stairs to the guest rooms in the 6-story tower, you're greeted by breathtaking views of sailboats returning to marinas, their white sails billowing against the backdrop of sunset skies. It's a scene straight from a postcard, and you can't help but feel a sense of awe at the beauty of it all. After leaving your bags in your room, you ascend 2 more flights of stairs to join Nora at the main gallery to enjoy tea as the sun begins its descent below the horizon. The skies erupt in a symphony of color, with hues of orange, pink, and purple that reflect on Lake Michigan and transform it and cast your face in a flattering glow. A cool shift in the air heralds the arrival of evening as Nora pours a steamy light green liquid from a silver teapot, filling the air with its minty perfume. You prepare the tea to your liking, soothed by its warmth as your hands grasp the old china cup and sip. In the distance, incoming rain clouds take on the vibrant magenta, lavender, and orange hues of the sunset. Their dark gray underbellies promising a spring shower. For some time you watch as the colors change and fade, the wind delivering the clouds at a quickening pace. The rain shower moves closer, with steady silver streams that resemble a swarm edging its way toward you. The lighthouse beacon casts its steady light into the encroaching darkness. Nora rises to leave, inviting you to spend the evening however you would like, and to feel free to reach out should you need anything. Her vibrant energy lingering in the air, you find yourself reflecting on her life story, as well as the tales of adventurous souls seeking new beginnings on the shores of Lake Michigan. You feel a gentle stirring, an awakening of possibilities that exist and await your exploration when you step away from the routine of daily living. Nora's story reveals the upside of the unexpected, the unimagined dreams that come into being when another dream ends. Feeling a sense of liberation to do whatever you like. You linger a bit longer, grasping your hands around the cool metal railing of the balcony. The rain arrives, carried on the breeze, as it lands on your hands and soon caresses your cheeks. It brings a feeling of aliveness, connecting you to the present moment, to all its magic. You can't help but think about the opportunities that lie beyond the safety of your comfort zone. They need not always be taken, but just knowing they are there gives a new lens to explore life through. As the rain patters on the lighthouse, creating crazy patterns on the lake, you allow yourself to think of the possibilities that await. Perhaps it is time to take more chances, to seize opportunities that may not be immediately apparent in the mundanity and safety of routine. This thought warms you within as your heart beams toward the cloudy sky, begins to open, shining along with the lighthouse beacon. With each passing moment, you feel yourself growing more attuned to the whispers of possibility that dance upon the winds that once brought curious and adventurous souls to the shores of Lake Michigan. The wind whistles around the gallery, carrying with it the earthy scent of rain-soaked grass and the invigorating freshness of the lake. It's a moment of pure tranquility, chance to simply be, with no demands or expectations weighing upon your shoulders. As you stand there, lost in contemplation, you feel a sense of freedom wash over you. The night stretches out before you without a plan, without requiring much of you. You could read a book by the fire, listen to music, or simply watch the rain dance on the surface of the lake. Eventually, the allure of warmth and comfort beckons you back to your room. In one corner, a small fireplace crackles merrily, prepared by Nora, casts a warm and inviting glow across the room. Tiny flickering flames dance in rhythm with the patter of raindrops against the window panes and impart the air with the smell of sweet burning wood. The centerpiece of the room is an antique canopy bed adorned with a patchwork quilt bursting with the same kaleidoscope of jewel-toned colors found on the first floor. Against one wall is a stepladder fashioned into a shelf with a collection of vintage nautical artifacts that add to the room's charm, each piece a reminder of the rich maritime history that surrounds you. You notice a telescope propped by the window that will serve more useful tomorrow when the storm has passed. Rain streams down the glass, casting prismatic reflections of the colorful artwork adorning the walls and the orange gold flames in the fire. You indulge in a hot shower in the tiny yet functional bathroom. The water cloaks the chill of the spring night in a blanket of comforting warmth. The scent of fresh chamomile soap fills the air with its rich, moisturizing lather. Like the day on the lake, once more, you don't want the pleasantries of this experience to end. With your muscles loosened and tension melted away, you towel off and slip into your warmest pajamas. You peer out the tiny oval window in the bathroom, concealed behind a small metal gate that reminds you of a birdcage, and watch as the rain falls harder on the grass and dark waters of the lake below. You return to the bedroom and gather a coffee table book about lighthouses, bringing it to bed with you. The rhythmic drumming of the rain outside lulls you into a state of blissful tranquility as you turn the thick pages to unveil the lighthouses of the Great Lakes. A quote in elegant cursive type reads, "We are all like lighthouses, giving light, guidance, and hope to others as they navigate their own journeys." You allow these words to be the last information you take in on this remarkable day as you turn off the lights and get cozy in the dim glow of burning embers. You allow the dance of the rain to deliver you to slumber, drifting with ease into the realm of your dreams. So feel free to let go. But if you're not quite ready, there's always one more story to keep you company. Lighthouse in the rain. You suddenly find yourself on a sandy path of a forest in 1963. You smell the salty air that is carried on a thin veil of mist that slithers through the deciduous trees of the woods. You are dressed in a plaid wool coat of the times, in comfortable slacks and boat shoes, and yet this moment feels timeless, like in a dream within a year of dreams and change. And yet this moment feels timeless, a dream within a year of dreams and change. Lavender gray clouds cover the sky, moving swiftly yet gracefully in a crisp maritime breeze. The woods are occupied by a family of deer, unafraid of your presence, as you walk on the wet sandy path, and they continue to feast on local vegetation. The trees have changed into a vibrant array of deep reds and fiery oranges and rich marigolds, and bring life to the otherwise gray drear that cloaks the woods. A storm is on the way, and you feel a sense of importance. Knowing as keeper of the lighthouse, you will help guide many souls through the autumn storm. The cooler months and shorter days give you a sense of peace, as you feel ready to hibernate in the warm and safe confines of your sleeping quarters within the historic lighthouse tower. The forest opens out into a clearing, a marker that lets you know you are getting close to the main section of the village. Mostly a vacation town, the small cottages and beach shacks are not winterized and have been cleared out for the changing season. But a few brave souls remain with you, content to be in solitude and quietude in the winter months. Like a hibernation period, those who stay will warm by the fire and enjoy the pristine landscape and the snowy beaches of winter. But now you are in the middle of fall and relish the cool nights and stillness. You have spent the summer canning vegetables and fruit from your garden and smoking local delicacies to keep you nourished through this period of slowing down and hibernation. The woodlands open into dunes more than twice your height, rolling like shortbread hills. You would think you are in a desert if the beach grass and shrubs and sound of the ocean in the distance weren't there to tell you otherwise. The dunes meet the darkening sky, and you can make out the tower of the black and white striped lighthouse in the distance. You listen to the surf that gets louder as the path between the dunes leads you to a narrow, elevated wooden boardwalk that looks out on the dusty blue ocean waves that form lacy ivory crests as the waves crash down. The tide is high and surf is rough from the storm at sea. The thin veil of mist is becoming more opaque as you walk past the white picket fences that surround the small beach bungalows. that have closed for the season. It feels as if the entire barrier island is yours, and that you are the keeper of light and of the island as well. This sense of purpose is soothing and healing. You know your role and fill it with pride as each day of work brings you the deepest of sleep. You walk towards the center of the village. The island is so narrow that you can see the bay to the north and the ocean to the south. When you walk along the quiet main street, a car drives by. It is a Mercury Comet in signature peacock turquoise paint. It's a symbol of the times, and you watch as it drives slowly by. The car is overpacked with a family of 5 and all their belongings. The father tips his hat in your direction, driving to make the last car ferry of the year. You smile and wave to the family as you continue to walk past closed shops, an ice cream parlor, and a local grocery store. The wind increases in speed, and you push against it, looking forward to the warm respite of the lighthouse. At the edge of town, you come to the narrow sandy path that winds through tall, honey-hued reeds that shuffle in the breeze as their feathery tops brush against one another. It's like being in the middle of a maze that you know well, aware of every turn and bend that leads you to the lighthouse property. It always seems to take your breath away, to take in its beauty, especially on a day like today, when the vibrant white and black stripes are bold against the grays and blues of the sky and sea. You walk on a stone path that you created yourself over the summer, and feel proud of all the little efforts that made this safe haven a home for you and a beacon for others. There is a garden with flowers still in bloom, namely hydrangeas that look like vibrant powder puffs in shades of cornflower blue and raspberry pink and pastel purple. You hear the waves crashing against the black rocks of the shore, and you walk around the lighthouse to take in the crisp, briny air and beauty of the arriving storm. You can see the black and dark gray bellied storm clouds, illuminated by flashes of lightning out at sea. The torrential rains are still far out at sea and look like pewter swarms connecting the sky to the white caps of the stormy waters. You feel a drop or two of rain begin to fall. The drops are big and cool, and when one lands on your lips, it tastes like the sea. You are ready to head indoors and walk towards the heavy metal door, pulling it open and entering into the foyer. You smell the lavender that hangs above the door, that you hand-picked in June and dried in the sun on a perfect summer's day. The changing of seasons and the variety of weather on the island has created layers of memories that you deeply enjoy. The beauty is unlimited and can be found in every variation of weather. A fluffy gray cat comes to meet you, rubbing against your shins as you lean down to pet her. The walls are brick, and a winding white metal staircase leads up through your sleeping quarters and to the top of the tower. The rhythm of the day is similar. As before dusk, you climb the stairs with your cat in tow, going further and further up. You feel the strength in your legs and the cool dampness of the lighthouse that will change once you illuminate the wicks. As you reach the top, you first go to inspect the Fresnel lens and the many prisms that you clean each morning. You run your hand along the entrancing design, like a greenhouse of prisms that stands taller than you. It consists of concentric grooves that refract light, so a solid beam of light may cut through the fog and illuminate a path for the most weary out at sea. You trim the wick and check the fuel before lighting the wick and watching as the flame burns brightly. You hand crank the weights to the top so they may descend again and cause the gears to spin the beacon of light and flashes across the ocean. You stay for the requisite time to make sure the light does not burn out, and you look out the windows to the fog rolling in, watching as the light cuts through the fog. Its rhythm is captivating and hypnotic, and lulling you into a relaxed state. You sit on the wooden floor as your cat nestles beside you, purring and cuddling as you pet her. The sky darkens as the purple-black storm clouds roll in, and you begin to reminisce. You hear thunder rolling across the island. The silvery mist of the fog becomes like a movie screen, where you play out memories of the beach, your first time in the ocean, the first time your bare feet stepped into a tidal pool. You see yourself surrounded by those you love in this timeless memory and sensation of belonging as you watch the sunset over the bay. The idea of time eludes you, as if all these memories brought to life are happening at once. You feel just the same in 1963 as you feel in your waking life. You feel the essence of who you are, no matter where or when you go in time. The rain begins to splat against the metal roof of the lighthouse, soporific and calming. You are warmed by the burning wick, the flames licking against the glass enclosure. Your face is warmed by the amber glow, and you ready yourself to descend and take a nap before you will rise and check on the flame again. You walk down the spiral stairs, your hand sliding down the cool metal rail. as your fluffy cat races ahead. You arrive at the second floor to your sleeping quarters. The room is quaint and you feel embraced by the curves of the brick walls. There is a bed on the opposite side of the room with an oil lantern that you light with a set of matches kept in your pocket. The lantern illuminates the room with a warm glow. There is a cast iron wood stove upon which you place a tea kettle full of water. The flat black surface is perfect for cooking and heating water. You stoke the fire and add another log to the smoldering embers left from earlier in the day. The log soon catches, crackling and popping in a percussive sound that marries the sounds of the pelting rain and whistling winds of the storm outside. You remove a can of food from the cupboard for your cat, emptying it onto a fine china plate. She deserves the best as much as you, for she is your loyal companion through the quietest and even the stormiest of nights. You remove an antique teacup and saucer, bestowed to you from a grateful passenger on a ship once stranded at sea. You were very helpful in that rescue, and the appreciation was paid forward with this china. You run your finger around the gold trim of the cup, as if for good luck, before you place a tea bag in it. The water boils, and you remove it from the wood stove, pouring it into the teacup, and smelling the sweet aroma of the tea as its redolence wafts on the steam. You sweeten it with local honey that you harvested from beehives you looked after during the summer, knowing it will boost your immunity and strength. You take the tea and saucer to an upholstered armchair that is overstuffed and well worn. You sink into it and peer out the lookout window to see flashes of the lighthouse that are in competition with the streaks of lightning that come with the storm. You look to black and white photos on the walls, photos of you in various seasons on the island in the fashionable attire of the 1960s. You are standing with guests who visited the lighthouse in summer. The ladies in cotton summer dresses and white gloves. The men in linen suits. In other photos, you are wearing your signature uniform. You are reminded of the busy summers, so crowded with visitors that you are entertained and treated like a hero. As if carried on the fog, you hear the conversations from joyous outdoor dinners of summers past, where beneath the stars, swarmed by fireflies and enlivened by the laughter of children running around with sparklers, you wish the moments would never leave. They stay with you, like all the warm feelings of love and connection that help you greatly appreciate this time for reflection. Your eyes feel tired as you polish off your tea and rise, walking to an old trunk that contains your most precious and most often used belongings. You pull out a pair of pajamas that are meant to be worn on a cool night. You change into them feeling warm already as you walk to the bed and remove the heavy patchwork quilt that you purchased from a craft festival on the island years ago. It cloaks you in warmth and memories of splendor. Your cat jumps atop the quilt, nestling in the crook of your arm as she kneads the fabric and settles in. You feel perfectly safe and content as the storm continues and you drift to sleep. The sounds of the rain against metal and the blustering winds offer a soundtrack for sleep. There is no safer place to be than in a lighthouse that has stood tall against every storm to come over centuries and still remains. It continues to pour light onto the darkness with buttercream beams that glow on a sable blanket of nightfall. You inhale, still smelling the salty air and the sweetness of your tea, before you exhale and sink deeper into the antique bed. You drift towards maritime dreams, envisioning the light inside of you that sparkles in your eyes on the happiest of days, that pours from your heart center when you connect with those you love most. Nestled with your cat, high atop the island, you fall deeper and deeper into this feeling of relaxation and safety. You enjoy your own company and the rhythm of life you have found as a lightkeeper. With this sense of accomplishment, you feel the tiredness that comes from a productive, active, and well-spent day. Drifting down towards sleep, floating like a buoy atop the cascading waves. You are floating and drifting in the sensation of fluidity, finding peace, finding stillness, finding sleep. It's time to dream away. Good night.